What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm excited for this video. I'm gonna do a review of every rod and reel that I've acquired from Akuma fishing products. So if you guys don't know or weren't aware, we started working with Akuma Fishing way back in January of this year. They were able to ship us out some stuff early on in the year. Really, there's been a lot of distribution issues, all thanks to, the pandemic and all that. That said, at this point, we've picked up everything that we had originally ordered, and I've been able to fish all this stuff a ton. So I've really put it all through the ringer. I've put it on the water at least a couple dozen times each, and I've caught quite a few fish on these products. So I'm excited to share with you my thoughts, my opinions on these things, and maybe help you if you're on the market for some new rods and reels. So before we get to all the reviews and coverage of these products, be sure to subscribe to the channel, smash the like on this video, and ring that notification bell so you can see when we drop more content like this. We do tons of product reviews and unboxings, and we also do a lot of fishing videos, so stay tuned for more of that. We also go live every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern, me and my buddy Paul, talking to awesome people in the fishing industry like Akuma. So pop on over to one of those lives and talk to us in chat. It's a ton of fun. We're gonna be going through every single product that I got from Akuma. That's gonna be roughly 9 rods and about 7 reels, I believe it is. So I'm gonna cover everything I possibly can. Now, I am on the Akuma team, so you guys should know that I do work with them. However, I'm gonna be giving you guys my honest opinions on this stuff, and you might be surprised by what I think about it. That said, if you do wanna support the channel, you can use the link in the description and the pinned comment below if you're gonna consider purchasing anything from Akuma. They give us a little kickback, and I'd appreciate it if you use that link because it helps us out a ton. Thank you so much. So I'm gonna kick things off with the spinning gear, then we're gonna go to the big rigs, and then we're gonna finish out with my favorite stuff from them, the bait casting setups. So let's get to it. All right, so first up, I've got this on my ultralight setup. So the rod is not Akuma, although they do make some ultralight rods. This one is a 13 Fishing Defy Silver, and it's a 5.6 ultralight, one of my hands down favorite rods to go fish little tiny stuff like this mule jig on. So that right there is a pink mule jig from my buddy Ethan Duvetter, who runs Mule Fishing. And on there we also have a Dakota Sunrise paddle tail. So not a review of that stuff, but that's what I'm using this for most of the time. This right here is the Akuma Inspira. And I gotta say, for the price, this is one of the most fantastic spinning reels I think I've ever used. It's smooth, it's well made, it's a metal frame to it, so it's gonna hold up really, really well. It's got those sexy blue accents to it, which is fantastic. And this particular one is like their downsize. So this is the ISX 20B if you're looking for the model number on that. This size has been perfect when I'm fishing super light stuff. It's small, it's really comfortable in the hand. Sometimes you get like those metal frames, especially on lower budget end reels that are just uncomfortable, especially when you're setting the hook or fighting a fish. And this has been extremely comfortable. I had it on my medium setup, my 7-foot medium setup, you'll see in a second. Ended up swapping it out because I liked the smaller size for a rod combo like this when I'm going ultralight fishing. But it's hands down like one of the best looking spinning reels I think I've seen on the market, and also just most comfortable to fish. I like the oversized foam knob there, so you guys know this kind of foam, when it gets wet, it doesn't get slippery, it stays grippy, which is really nice. Unlike some of the plastics and rubbers that you see on knobs on lower end reels. So again, I think this one's really built. I'm not here for all the specs. I want to give you guys my opinion based on fishing these things. So I'm letting you know how it felt, how it casts, how it reels, and that goes for every product today that we talk about. If you guys want specs, just pull up the website and go take a look at them. But I'm not here to nerd out on that stuff with you. I want you to think about, would I fish with this thing? So this thing right here has plenty of drag. It's tough. It holds up well. I mean, I've beat the crap out of it. It's been in my boat for a long, long time, so it's knocking around with other reels, setting it aside. I'm dropping it on the ground when I'm bank fishing, and it honestly looks pretty much brand new. It's super clean with that gunmetal gray there. and the blue accents like I mentioned. So I freaking love it. Like I said, one of my favorite spinning reels, and I've fished a lot of different brands when it comes to spinning reels, right? Everything from your Flugers, your Shimanos, down to your Caskings and your Runkles. And this is hands down one of my favorites. When anybody asks me about like a spinning reel, this is like the one that I try to point them to. Now stock is getting better. I don't know if these are back in stock or not, but again, if you guys check the link in the description below, you let me know if you can get them. It's solid. It holds up really well. I've been using it for river, lake fishing from my kayak, bank fishing as well. It's an all-around just doer. It just gets it done. So I'm a big fan of that one. By the way, pricing wise, you're looking at sub 90 on that one, and they're probably gonna have some new models dropping in 2022, so stay tuned for that. Next up, we got the Serrano rod lineup. So these rods run about 90 bucks. They're pretty budget friendly. They're super lightweight. They're pretty strong. Unfortunately, this one, I kind of broke, so that was my bad. And it was completely user error, so I place no blame on Okuma for that one. But this was my light setup, and I literally broke this right out of the box, so whoops, my bad. Yeah, you probably shouldn't do this to your rods unless you want something like this to happen. That would be bad, so don't do that. But anyways, I'm gonna just put that one aside. We'll talk about one that's not broken. So this is my medium light 7-foot spinning setup. So this actually has an Akuma reel I'll talk about in a second here as well, but the Serrano right there, it's a $90 rod, 7-foot, medium light, can handle like pretty much all the weights I need, but it's like designed for a 1/8 ounce to a 1/2 ounce. This is my Ned rig setup. Oh, look at that, little chartreuse appearance right there. Already rigged up to an EWG jig head from Z-Man. It's almost like that's pretty much all I use this rod combo for, because it is. This thing has put in work. I mean, I've fought carp on this thing. I've caught pike on this thing, a pretty massive pike actually in the river while waiting on this exact combo in a river video that I posted like a week ago. So you can check that footage. But this thing handles everything really well. For 90 bucks, it's very lightweight. It's really comfortable. You're gonna notice with most of these Akumas that they have these nice like foam grips down here. They got that carbon fiber base, which just looks really good. It's got all your details, all the information you need about the rod right there. It does have, you know, just the plastic reel seat, but I mean, it stays put, it does its job, it looks fine. And then you got this little plastic accent here as well. However, it's really comfortable. This is one of those rods that I think no matter the reel that I've put on this, I've been happy with it. Just the positioning of the rod sort of has like this hump section here, which fits really well into your palm. So I'm a big fan of the Serranos. For 90 bucks, it's not bad. You can beat the ever-loving heck out of these things. As for the reel I have on here, I've actually had this one for a while. This is the Akuma Avenger. You can get them for about 40 bucks, so not bad. It's definitely a lower end kind of budget reel. It's gonna have less bearings, but mostly when we're talking less bearings in a spinning reel, it's like there's no bearings in this handle, which is fine because it spins normally in your hand. You just can't free spool it, whatever. But there's enough bearings in here that it is a super smooth reel. It's very comfortable to hold on to. It's a full metal frame, so it's super durable. You can see it's got its love marks all over it. It's gotten beat up. Like I said, I've had it for a while. And I think this size, this is the 25B. I think this size was kind of just perfect for like a medium light 7-foot combo. I mean, it just fits this so freaking well. I love it, and this is the main combo that I carry around. Whenever I'm Ned rigging, like this is it. This is the jam right here. So I go ultralight with the Inspira if I'm doing super light rigs, and then I grab this boy if we're doing, you know, something a little bit heavier. I like to fish 1/8 to 1/6 ounce Ned rigs. Big fan of that combo. I've probably caught, out of all these combos, the most fish on that and the Psycho Stick, which I'll get to in a little bit here. So again, if you're looking for that like $80, $90 range rod, highly recommend looking into the Serrano. And again, I've owned a lot of rods in the, I'd say $90 to $110 range, from the Duckett Silverados, Dobbins Furies, and I feel like this stacks up to those pretty darn well, which is surprising considering it's a little bit cheaper and the materials aren't the same. Keeping up with the Serranos, you can see I picked up a bunch of these. This right here is a 7'4" extra heavy fast action. This was my frogging stick. Now I say was because I did actually opt to go back to my Dobbins Fury, and I'll tell you why in just a second. However, all the components are exactly the same as that spinning rod I just showed you, which I said I love for the spinning rod. However, when it came to the bait caster, the only issue I had was this right here. It just was not as comfortable with a frogging setup. Like, I know I'm gonna put the hurt on that fish. I'm gonna just slam this rod up, and there's gonna be a lot of force on my hand and on that reel when I'm holding this. So what I was running into was just that this was not quite as comfortable as my Dobyns Fury. So I opted to switch it out. Now, will I replace the reel and put something else on here and then still fish this thing? Yeah, I just haven't done that yet. I'm gonna have to pick up something else. Maybe if I get a smaller, lower profile reel for this than what I was using, which is the Komodo SS for my frogging setup, might be more comfortable. So I think I just need a more compact reel. And cool thing is, Akuma's dropping a whole bunch of them for 2022. And then of course, there's other options on the market too. Okay, so last Serrano that I have in the lineup is this reel right here. The cool thing is Dave Brown, who actually manages the whole social media team. So all the awesome people that are fishing these products, testing them out and posting them on social media, this is their guy. He also does like all the marketing for Akuma and Fish Lab and Soft Steel, which are their other brands. And he sent me this. This was his reel. They didn't have any in stock. They didn't have any 6:6 to 1 low gear ratio bait casters, and I wanted one. And he was like, bro, I got you. So he sent me this over. And I'd say like very comfortable handles. I think that Akuma knocks it out of the park with their knobs. The handle length could have been a little bit longer, I think, but not bad. Like their little design to it. We've got, all kind of metal casing and construction here. So it's pretty dang durable. And this one, you can tell it's kind of been through it. Like this one has done the work, done the miles. I'm sure Dave fished it a whole bunch, but right out of the box, grabbed it, fished it, felt good, still smooth. And 10 bearings and it better be smooth. It's a nice low profile. I do find that most of these Akuma reels were fitting really well in my hand. I enjoyed that. Few cons for me, like I really prefer a click on that spool tension just because I like that feedback. So I know like I'm moving it, otherwise, silent, right? A little bit annoying. But I mean, other than that, you got your external adjustment for your brakes. And like I said, it was smooth right out of the box. Feels heavy duty, feels good in your hand. I mean, it's a win in my books, just wasn't like my top choice of all the reels that I had. But not bad. It's a $100 reel. Talking about, I think 108 to 110, depending on where you pick it up at. So it's not really that bad for that price range at all. All right, so next up actually became pretty popular on my channel because it was on the wall. And people were always like, what's that blue rod behind you? Because this is hot. I think that Akuma, I think one of the cool things that Akuma does is they try to like really attack this like fancy, hot color market, like make their combos, make their rods, their reels really stand out. And this one definitely did. Like this blue on this Serrano is absolutely insane. With the Serrano, what you're looking at is, as far as the reel goes, it's like an $89 reel, and the rod itself about 120 bucks. So the combo is a $200 combo, but it's got a lot of cool features. So I've featured this on my channel a few times already, so I'm not gonna spend a ton of time on it here. What you're looking at will be hot accents all around, but this reel, that blue on the reel is just insane, just pops really awesome. I actually ended up swapping the handle out because I was not a fan of the Gulf grip paddles that they had. So these right here are actually some casking handles that I had left over from another casking reel that I don't use. So I just popped it off, swapped it out, which you guys could do, or you could go get like spool speed, get the new hot combo there, get a whole new carbon fiber reel handle and new knobs, all that stuff. I kind of recommend it because those Gulf grips are just so small, not comfortable for me to fish. I think some people like them, not my jam. So that was one knock that I had on the reel overall. Other than that, external brake setup right there. Tension knob does click. Again, I prefer that feedback. I think the reel was really smooth. I had a fun time actually fishing with this. The rod was really impressive. Just from the guide construction to the rod itself to this tip. And this is actually, I just remembered how I broke my Serranos. So the tip on the Psycho Stick and the Serrano is actually extremely durable, to the point where I've shared this story before on the channel. I caught a fish. This was rigged up in my kayak crate behind me, and I had a crankbait on it. I went to grab my net, snagged that crankbait, swung down in the water, netted the fish, pulled the fish back in, and was literally just pulling this thing down the whole time. So this thing almost folded in half, did not break. This is an ultra durable tip, kind of like, think like Ugly Stick, right? Ugly Stick tips are insanely durable. This matches that. I was really impressed. So I actually had an opportunity to see in real life how durable these things are. This thing holds up. But hot looking combo, really good. They have a new low budget combo that kind of mimics this color, and it's called Fuel. So those are dropping later this year, if not early next year. So stay tuned for those. And they are super budget friendly. Like the bait caster combo is 89 bucks. And those would be like blues and oranges and all that stuff. So I think if you're looking for just a hot combo, you can do that. If you want a hot performance combo, check out the Serranos. Big fan. $200 combo, not bad. You're really looking to measure up to like the Mach series from Lew's. And I have the Mach series from Lew's. So I think I could put them head to head. I haven't had a chance to fish that Mach too much yet, but I am a big fan of that. So I'd like to see how that compares. Might be interesting. Let me know if you want to see a video like that in the comments. Okay, so let's move to the big boy rods. So I have a swim bait and a muskie rod from Akuma as well, so I wanted to share those with you guys. This right here is the Muskie Evx Carbon, and this thing is insane. So first of all, it has this telescoping kind of like spring-loaded section here because it is an over 8-foot rod. So if you want to like get this in a truck bed, get it in a car or something, it's really hard to do that at its full length. However, you don't have to. You can just push that down and then you just pull it right back out. Adds about 1.5 feet to it. And when you're spooled up and you've got your reel in here, which the reel seat is right back here, which is huge, by the way, because you're gonna throw a big reel on this, like a 300 to 400 size reel, which I have, and I'll show you in a second. And now you're at the full length and you are good to fish. This thing will hold up. Got a chance to throw a few casts on this. I've definitely thrown quite a few casts on the swim bait setup because this came way later in the year. Like I just got this set up about 3 weeks ago. So I haven't really been able to put this one too much through the ringer. This is probably the only thing I haven't fished that much out of this batch just because I just got it. But from first glance, from dinking around with it a little bit, I am a big fan. I mean, you've got your cork handles here, big one up top. Here's your base. There's your reel seat. Reel seat feels super solid. I like that the trigger is a little bit shorter. Like I said, on that Serrano's frogging rod, it was just the harder plastic and it was too long and it just made it uncomfortable. But this is much more comfortable, especially considering probably gonna do like more of a full grip on this with that giant reel on there. It's so huge, I'm like just hitting the edge of my room here. Still got that carbon fiber detail. I love that about all these rods that they have. And then cork all the way down to the end. Solid, solid rod. Looks great. Give you a look at the line guides here too. There's your line guides. Heavy freaking duty, man. This thing is awesome. I am planning on getting some muskie footage in, so you'll be seeing this once we actually get a chance to go do that. Y'all know we love toothy critters. Okay, so this setup right here goes down in my books as like one of the coolest combos that I own. So this is the SBX. This is their swim bait setup. This is a 7'11". It's obviously heavy duty, but it's designed to hold up to 2 to 10 ounce lures. So this one is actually, this is like a 1.8 ounce. This is too light. This giant thing is too light for this setup, but you can still fish it, of course. It's just not ideal. You should be throwing way bigger baits than even this. And just keep this in mind. I'm in Michigan. We don't throw these a heck ton. Will they work? Yes, but it's kind of like if you just want to go out for a day and only target gigantic fish, which I do, and we will do on the channel soon, you're taking this combo with you. So we've got our swim bait set up on there. We've got, get this thing out of my way without hooking myself, and I did it anyways. Here, your reel seat is pretty slick. So it's this big section right here. This whole thing screws. It's got like a grip tape on it. So it's really easy to take this reel off and on. And I use this reel, which is the Komodo SS in a 300 size, for my muskie setup and for my swim bait setup. You'll notice that I've got the power handle on here. First of all, Komodo SS is dope. This thing is a fantastic reel. It's stainless steel casing. You've got stainless steel bearings, gearing, everything on it is just so well machined and crafted. The power handle is just a really cool option if you're throwing big baits and you want to just control that setup. This comes in a 7:3 to 1 gear ratio, so it's a little bit faster. I mean, we're swimming big baits. We're going to throw giant spinner baits, inline spinners for muskies, things like that. So we're going to be moving and grooving. They like those baits rolling, so we got them taken care of. Got a clicky knob for that spool tension. Got a gigantic thumb trigger there. Got your hook keeper extra bar right there. And this thing is smooth as heck. I have had a chance to cast this specific one, the gigantic boy, quite a few times. So I'm really happy with this setup. And then as far as the rest of the rod, you've got this giant butt section here for those gigantic baits, two-hand casting this thing as far as you possibly can. This helps out a lot. Super comfortable grip. This one I was impressed with because of how large this combo setup is. I was like, there's no way I'm gonna enjoy fishing it. But I did. I was surprised. It was really comfortable. The entirety of the rod is all that carbon fiber material, extra strong, well done guides. Everything on here screams heavy duty. I mean, just look at that. What a freaking beast. So yeah, this rod will catch monsters and it will fish gigantic baits. Wish I was in an area that I could fish this thing and be successful like all the time. Unfortunately, that's just part of living in Michigan. So that SBX setup is a pretty expensive rod, but it is a swim bait rod. So you kind of come to expect that, especially if the quality is as high as this one is. And that's running $239. So if you're looking for a really well-made swim bait rod that can handle the big, heavy baits, go for this one. $240. Seems pretty reasonable for a beast of a swim bait rod. However, that EVX rod that I showed you, the Muskie rod, is only $110. So if you're looking for a rod to throw those big honking baits at muskies and that'll still hold up, you can definitely skimp a little bit off of that swim bait rod and go for that muskie rod, and you pull double duty, which is what I consider doing. This one right here is sort of a love-hate relationship for me. So I love the Komodo SS on here. I love, and now you get a chance to see like the normal size. So this is your low profile Komodo SS. This one right here is a 7:3 to 1. Again, you got 7 bearings on this, but I love, like, look at the handle. The handle's all steel. We've got gigantic, like, oversized knobs with that foam, which again, when it gets wet, is still grippy. So these have been some of the most comfortable reels I've had as far as just reeling them in, fighting fish. It's been a blast, never had an issue with it, really enjoyable. And I'm a huge fan of this. You'll notice you don't have your external braking system here. This is a side plate that just slides off, but it's one of the easier ones that I've seen. So there's your actual braking setup right in here. So you just flip those little tabs there. You got 6 of them, works the same. Shimano's do them the same way. And I just thought that it was really easy to get the side plate off and on, so that was good. On that big power handle one, the 300 size, you take the side plate off too, but you have to unscrew an extra screw on there before you can get to that. So a little more difficult, but it works fine. So there you go, loving the reel. Now, the rod on the other hand, I have not really put too much work into this rod. I honestly think it's gonna be more of a flipping setup for me because it's super heavy duty. So this one is a 7-foot heavy action. You're fishing 3/16 of an ounce to an ounce bait. So I just don't normally like fish that heavy. This is like a heavy Texas rig, heavy flipping, punching type setup. And the issue I had is just that it is a super stiff rod, super stiff. So casting it was not as fun as I would have hoped. You really are gonna be just at 7 feet flipping this thing. And since I just don't do that enough, I haven't really used this rod as much. I tend to opt for one of my other setups I'll show you in a second, because I just fish more baits in that style, 1/2 ounce or less. I wanna cast them out there. I don't wanna just flip. And I mean, flipping is really fun, don't get me wrong. It's just that where I fish, there's not a lot of good spots for that. All that said, this is a really good looking rod. So this one right here, coming in that blue hue with your little carbon etching. Look at that. The accents on this thing, I think, are amazing. This is the tournament concept, by the way, the rod is, and they come in very specific techniques. So if you're going technique specific, you got your jigging and worm rod. Use it for what it's for. I just don't flip enough to use this, so I think I should have opted for something else, maybe another psycho stick. But still, nonetheless, really good looking rod. You've got a well-made reel seat here. Look at that, cork under the reel seat. So it's all like a one-piece blank. So extra sensitivity for those jig bites. You're gonna be ready to jack some jaws. I really appreciated just this construction here because it just felt heavy duty. Felt like I have no concern for my reel coming loose. It feels really sturdy for those big hook sets. And it's got that similar, but not quite the same foam, but then there's some cork in there as well, base with the carbon fiber base that you saw in the Serrano. So this is just like an upgraded version of that. Did love the little blue accents in there as well. And as you can see, this is too light a weight for this. This is my Texas rig setup, but it really does need a heavier bait on there. So willing to give her another go. Every setup deserves a rebuttal. My main takeaway from that is that the Komodo is a phenomenal reel. You guys should definitely be looking at those. So the Komodo SS reels, even the big power handle one, they run about $219. The tournament concept rod is 145 bucks. All right, so I found my frogging setup. You can see, got that new 10,000 fish Tataki frog on there right now. Look at that red streamer's nuts. But yeah, I'm using the Komodo SS on here, 7:3 to 1 gear ratio. I mean, some might say a little bit low for a frogging reel, but it does work. I mean, I've been frogging with this thing quite a bit. And I did opt to pair that up with my Dobyns Fury rod. This is the Magnum Heavy Fury. You can see it doesn't even have any information left on it. I've just had this one for a really long time. So I think it's kind of, you know, personal preference that I switch back to this because I originally had the Komodo on that Frog and Serrano setup. So I don't know, maybe I just like couldn't shake it, but this is just a really, look at how destroyed this cork is. I think we need to wrap this bad boy. So this gives you an idea of how long I've had this Fury. I've had this Fury for a couple years and I have beat the tar out of it, but it's just this trigger, for whatever reason, to me just felt a little more comfortable. Again, when you go for those big hook sets, like I just want to feel secure, comfortable. I don't want to feel like my knuckles are getting bruised, and then I want to power that fish in. So, I mean, like I said, I'm willing to give that Serrano another shot and probably even consider switching to a different rod from Akuma to do my frogging with, because this one's getting tarnished. Poor guy. So yeah, mostly on this setup, the feature for me is that Komodo SS. One of my favorite reels, hands down. I love those. Again, coming in at $219, it does put you up into that kind of higher class of reel, but I think it holds up for the money. That is a reel you're gonna have a real, dad joke there, a real tough time destroying, promise you. Like you could stomp on it, throw it at a wall, like you're just not gonna break that reel. It's absurd. All right, so next up we have a phenomenal rod. This is the Guide Select cranking rod. This is a 7'5" medium and it's moderate action. This thing is insane. And I mean, if you guys are crankbait people, you probably knew a lot of this stuff before I did, but I didn't realize that having the right rod made such a heckin' difference when it came to crankbait fishing. So having this setup, the 7'5", so the added length to this rod, most of my setups prior to getting all these Akuma setups were 7'3". So I get a little added length for longer casts, could definitely go even longer than this for a cranking setup. And then that medium giving you the sensitivity and the moderate action, giving you the ability to fight fish, to play the fish back to the boat without the risk of them shaking the bait. I've lost far fewer fish cranking with this thing than any other setup I've used before. It makes all the difference. Not only that, but these things are smooth with all that carbon fiber detail. You've got the heavy duty reel seat here. This is all metal and it just feels good when you set that reel in there. You've got a shorter, more ergonomic trigger on this thing, which feels amazing. Because I mean, you're just casting and reeling all day, so you gotta feel comfortable. But this feels amazing in my hand there. I really love that. You've got that fat kind of hump section here to the cork, which just feels ergonomic and good for the palm of your hand. And the cork goes all the way down to the butt of the reel. Plus this little metal accent, and that little Akuma logo right there, juice, money. So there's your carbon fiber handle, just like we've seen before. It's a very strong rod. It fishes really well. It's hypersensitive for how strong it is. And look at the guides on these. Some of the best guides I've seen. I think when I unboxed this, I had Paul over, and this is like the rod he picked out of all the things I showed you today, minus the Psycho Stick. I'll show you in 1 second. It's the last setup we got. This was the one that he was like, dang, dude, that is phenomenal. And I agree. So with this one, I did have that Helios Sx, but I mean, y'all know cheat codes for cranking is this DC. I can cast any weight crank on this setup now. So I had to go with that Shimano SLX DC on there. It's just too smooth, too easy, very comfortable to be fishing all day long. And like I said, casting cranks in the wind, easy. That guide select comes in at $150, by the way, as far as the price point, $149.99. And I think for that price, very much worth it. Getting a good, solid crankbait rod, especially if you want to do more of that or have more success while cranking, you want to get that set up. Last one of the day, we got our Psycho Stick combo. I'm insanely impressed by this setup. First of all, the Psycho Stick rod is extremely lightweight, and it fishes underpowered. So this is a medium heavy, fishes kind of like a medium. Super soft tip, still fast action. So I can still jack the jaw, not an issue, but it just feels amazing. Look at it. So we got carbon fiber detail all the way down, really high-end guides on these things, phenomenal. It does have this ultra durable tip that I showed you on the Serrano, same exact tip here. So you don't have to worry about this rod tip breaking. Again, you can put it through the ringer, it's gonna hold up. This is my favorite combo to fish out of any combo I've ever owned. I love it so much. We've got the Helios Sx here. The Helios Sx is another $219 reel. So it's high end, it really is. So it is really contending with like those higher end like Shimano Curatos and your Daiwas and your Abus and all those things. It's gonna hold up to those, I think. This thing is really, really fun to fish with. Oversized handles again with that foam. Look at that accent right there. That's awesome. I love the like orange, silver, and blacks in here. Very comfortable profile. So really easy to hold on to. Probably the most comfortable out of all the reels. I love the Komodos, but they've got kind of this like aggressive tip to it, and they really soften that edge with the Helios Sx. So it just feels kind of like a perfect fit in my hand. It's a bit ridiculous. The reel is super lightweight. The rod, the Psycho Stick, super lightweight. So this combo right here fishes like a beast, but weighs like nothing. It's so light, it's absurd. It baffles, every time I grab it out of like my kayak crate, I'm like, oh, what is this? My ultralight? No, it's the Psycho Stick combo. It's absurd. Helios Sx also has that side plate feature. So if you just push that thing down, there's the inside of your side plate, and there are your adjustments for your braking system. Again, just like Shimano's, if you guys have had like an SLX or something like that before. But easy on, easy off, clicks very securely into place. Got your clicky knob for your spool tension, all that good stuff. This, if you're gonna spend the money, if you were gonna go $400 to $450, right? Like I understand, it's a very expensive combo. I personally, I gotta remind you guys, before working with Akuma, I probably had 4 or 5 combos. And that was a lot for me. Because when Paul and I started fishing together, I had like 3. And they were all old Gander Mountain combos. So this was literally like your boy just stepped into a Lamborghini. I've never fished a combo like this before. I have not had that experience. So it was eye-opening, a little damaging because now I just want high-end combos, but totally worth it. And if you guys are on the market for something super freaking fancy, check these things out. Or at the very least, if you want the do-all rod, this is my do-all combo. I fish everything on this. I got a chatterbait on here right now. Everything goes on this setup. And I fish this thing pretty much all day. So if you want like that go-to combo that you're super pumped to fish all the time, you just enjoy fishing this thing, I'd recommend looking at the Psycho Stick and pair it with your favorite reel. Or if you want to check out a nice reel from Akuma, the Helios Sx is a contender. So the Komodo SS to me is like, it's bulletproof. Like you're not gonna damage this. This is much lighter duty. This can be damaged, of course, but fishes better. It casts so smooth. It casts like my DC. Like I compared this to my SLX DC. This almost casts better without a digital chip. That's insane. Then I further dialed it in and I freaking love this thing. If you can't tell right now, I'm kind of gushing about it. Again, my honest opinion, this thing's a freaking beast. I didn't even get into this, but like with that Psycho Stick, you also have that heavy duty aluminum, a little bit of grip here, that carbon fiber detail for that reel seat. So ultra secure, super comfortable. Look at this. Higher end plastic here off of the reel handle. So super comfortable. It's really smooth. So it feels really good in your hand. Got your carbon fiber detail all the way down to the end. And then the tip of this, look at that. Got your Akuma accent off the end of it as well. Very comfortable, that high grip foam. So casting this thing all day, casting in the rain, casting into the wind with that Helios Sx, like all of that stuff is pretty darn easy. And that is why this stays on the front of my boat and I fish it all day long. Whew. All right, I think we did it. All right, you guys, there you go. Those are all the combos from Akuma that I have fished over the past year. Every rod, every reel, and I have put them through the ringer. I haven't had as much time as I'd liked to have had on things like the muskie setups or the swim bait setup, just because of circumstances of being in Michigan. But I'm gonna put them to the test as soon as I can, and I'll give you feedback as we go. We'll probably do some big fishing trips for big fish with those combos very soon, so stay tuned for a video like that. Hopefully this video was helpful for you guys, gave you the price points, my experience with it. This is not a tech specs video because I know as well as you know, all the tech specs are up online. So really, I just wanted to let you know how I felt about those rods, those reels, having used those, and comparing them to my usage really in the past with my Shimano's, with your Abu Garcia setups, and with Luz, which I've recently got. So I am comparing in my head to how I felt about those, and I love 90% of these. I told you a couple, drawbacks, a couple cons that I had, and why I don't necessarily fish some of those rods or those combos all the time anymore. But it's also because, like, how many combos can I fit in my boat? I can't even fit all of these in my boat. I got like 6 rod sleeves, so I bring 6 rods. So I don't get to bring all of these every single day, but I do love fishing with them, and I want you guys to go check them out. If you guys are considering picking these up, please use our link in the description below. We do get a kickback from Akuma for any of those purchases that you make, and I appreciate it so much if you consider doing that. Other than that, you guys, thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you're having a great day, and I hope you have a better day when you go spend all your hard-earned money on rods and reels, because, I mean, what else is life for anyways? But be sure to subscribe to this channel, smash the like on this video, and ring that notification bell so you can see when we drop more content, and then come back when we go live every Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern. We are here talking to awesome people like Dave Brown from Akuma, or like Aaron Mays from Boat Boards, stand-up paddleboard and inflatable kayak company. All sorts of awesome people on the market. We got Rick from Monster Bass coming back here soon, and we've had him on the show a couple times, but we talk to amazing people. It's a blast, and I'd love to see you there and talk to you in chat, so pop on into one of those lives. Other than that, I gotta go do things, and you'd probably do too, so I'll see you on the next video. See you guys.